Following the defeat of Ganondorf in the adult timeline, the Hero of Time was returned back to the past to warn the young Princess Zelda of Ganondorf's intentions. This would lead to a war between the Gerudo and the Hylians, started by the Gerudo King himself, which will lead to the Gerudo's exile from Hyrule to the Desert of Doubt and Ganondorf's eventual capture and execution by the hands of the Six Sages.
With the blade of the Sages plunged on Ganondorf's chest, the Sages were revealed to a horrific truth. Ganondorf was the wielder of the Triforce of Power, and thus was unable to be killed by them. In a burst of pure hatred, he broke free of his chains and murdered the Sage of Water with his bare hands. As a desperate last resort, the remaining Sages activated the Mirror of Twilight and vanished Ganondorf to the void of the Twilight Realm.
Many generations passed since Ganondorf's defeat, and Hyrule prospered into a civilization greater than ever before. However, it will not remain like this forever. Within the Twilight Realm, Ganondorf slowly regained his strength by drawing from the anguish and hatred of the Twilight. It was then that he met a young Twilight named Sand, who had an immense lust for power, and who despised the Light Dwellers for imprisoning their ancestors, the Interlopers, within the Twilight Realm like insects in a cage.
Ganondorf saw this as an opportunity to set himself free of the Twilight Realm and conquer Hyrule, and presented himself to Zant as a god, housing his power within the young Twilight to use him as a pawn in his greater plan for world domination. With the powers bestowed to him by his new god, Zant led a rebellion where he overthrew the Twilight Princess Midna, cursing her into the form of a hideous imp, and transformed the Twilight into mindless shadow beasts, self-proclaiming himself the King of Twilight.
Leading an army of shadow beasts, Sand began an invasion of the Light World. Slaughtering the Hyrulean soldiers, he presented himself before Princess Zelda on her coronation day with an ultimatum.
It's time for you to choose. Surrender or die. Oh yes, a question for all the land and people of Hyrule. Life or death?
To save her people from death, Zelda surrendered to Sand, allowing him to steal the light from the Light Spirits and cover Hyrule in shadow.
2 days prior to the invasion, the villagers of the southern province of Ordon lived a peaceful life. Among the villagers was Link, a Hylian orphan who worked in the village ranch. His mentor Russell, who was tasked by the mayor of the village to take a gift to the royal family in honor of Zelda's coronation, asked Link to go in his stead.
Link was a kind soul, loved and looked up to by the children of the village, especially by Colin, Russell's son. The next day, after teaching the children how to use a slingshot and a sword, Talos spotted a monkey and began to chase it into Faron Woods, forcing Link and the rest of the children to chase after them.
After finding Tallow and the monkey trapped in a cage by bokoblins, Link freed them and they all headed back to the village. Before departing the next day, Link's childhood friend Ilia scolded Link after she discovered a wound on Epona's leg, taking her to Ordon Spring to heal it. Link went after her, where he found Colin explaining to Ilia how Link rescued Tallow the day before.
All of a sudden, a group of boblins burst into the spring, kidnapping Ilia, Epona, and the rest of the children, knocking Link unconscious. After regaining consciousness, Link ran after them, only to find a large, black wall blocking the path. It was then that a shadow beast reached out from the other side and dragged Link into the twilight.
Link's hand began to resonate with the golden light of the Triforce of Courage which slept within him, forcing the shadow beast to let go of the young Hylian. As he was within contact with the twilight, Link took the form of a wolf instead of a spirit or a monster like the rest of the inhabitants of the twilight-covered Hyrule, as he was protected by the Triforce divine power and lost consciousness. When Link regained consciousness, he found himself locked in the dungeons of Hyrule Castle. It was then that Midna, who had seen his struggle with the Shadow Beast, promised to help him as long as he did exactly what she said and led him to the Princess Zelda, who explained the situation.
Returned to the world of light, and with Midna as his companion, Link remained in the form of a wolf. Midna instructed Link to find the sword and shield he was supposed to give the royal family, which would come in handy in the future. After sneaking past the frightened Ordon villagers and acquiring the weapons, Link returned to the Wall of Twilight, where he heard the voice of the Light Spirit Ordona calling him to the spring.
Ordana explained to Link that the other spirit's light was stolen by shadow beasts, shrouding Hyrule in perpetual twilight, and in order to return back into his original form, he needed to restore the light to Hyrule.
Link first revived the light spirit Farron by defeating the shadow insects that contain his tears of light, taking them back to the spring. This reverted Link back to his Hylian form, who was now wearing the clothes of the ancient hero of old, and Farron explained that his transformation into a wolf was a sign that he was chosen by the gods.
Farron told Link to find the fused shadow hidden within the Forest Temple, a powerful artifact once created and used by the interlopers in hopes of using it against Zant.
Before the temple entrance, Link encountered a golden wolf who launched at the hero, transporting him to the ghostly ether, a dreamlike plane where the wolf will reveal himself as a skeletal spectre. This was the hero's shade, the spirit of the deceased hero of time, who died lamenting he was never remembered as a hero and unable to pass down his skills to the next generation.
It was in this ethereal realm that the hero's shade would train his blood descendant, the hero of Twilight, in the art of the sword, teaching him several sword skills that would aid him on his journey in returning Hyrule to its former glory, allowing for his spirit to finally rest in peace.
Within the temple, Link met Uku, as well as her son Uku Jr., two members of the Uka who were trying to find their way home, and who would cross paths with Link within many temples of Hyrule, allowing Link to teleport outside of them at any point. After dispatching the Twilight parasite Diababa, Link obtained the first fragment of the fused shadow and was told by Midna that two more fragments were hidden somewhere in Hyrule.
Link traveled towards the twilight-covered Eldin province and headed to Kakariko village, where after restoring the light of Eldin was reunited with the children of Ordon, who had been taken to Kakariko by the Bulbins and rescued by the village shaman Renato.
Renato told Link that the once peaceful Gorons of Death Mountain had become violent to outsiders, and that they won't listen to anyone unless they were bested in brute force. He also informed Link that the only one who managed to challenge the Gorons and come out on top was the mayor of his village, Bo, and instructed Link to talk to him about it.
Just then, a shaken Epona rushed into the village, and Link managed to calm her down. Atop his horse, Link rode back to Ordon village where he met Bo, who revealed that he used the iron boots to best the Gorons in a sumo wrestling match and gifted them to Link.
Link returned to Kakariko village when he was attacked by King Bulblin, who kidnapped Colin and rode off towards Elden Bridge. After a fierce horseback battle, Link managed to knock King Bulblin off the bridge and rescue Colin.
Link then headed up Death Mountain where he learns the fused shadow had transformed the Goron patriarch Darbus into a rampaging demon, and after besting the Goron elder Gor-Koron in a sumo fight, Link was granted access into the Goron mines, where he faced Darbus, now transformed into the Twilight Igniter Phyrus, and freed him from his dark curse, obtaining the second fragment of the fused shadow. After this, the Gorons and humans of Kakariko reconciled and became friends once again.
The final light spirit awaited. Link went north to the Llanero province and headed to Hyrule Castletown, where he found Ilia in Telma's bar, tending a sick Sora child, Rallis, the Sora prince. He learned that Lake Hylia had almost dried up as no water flowed from Sora's domain.
With the help of the Twilight carrier Kargarok, Link and Midna flew upstream only to find Zora's domain frozen and all of the Zoras trapped under a thick layer of ice within the throne room. By bringing a volcanic rock from Death Mountain to the frozen domain, Link and Midna restored the water flow, and before leaving, they were greeted by the spirit of the deceased queen of the Zoras, Rutella, who asked Link to help her dying son. When Zant attacked them, she sent the young prince to inform Princess Zelda of their situation, but he was attacked on the way and rescued by Telma. Rutella was then murdered by Zant himself in front of her people.
After restoring the light of Llanero and freeing Hyrule from the Twilight for good, Link reunited with Ilia within Telma's bar, only to find that she suffered from amnesia and was unable to remember him. Since Rallis needed immediate medical help, and knowing Renato could cure both Gorons and Zoras, Link escorted Telma, Ilia, and Rallis through Hyrule Field, confronting King Bulblin on the Bridge of Hylia in the process, eventually reaching Kakariko village. Link would then be handed a Sora tunic by Queen Rutella as gratitude for saving her son Prince Rallis, and he ventured to the Lakebed Temple within Lake Hylia, where he obtained the final fragment of the Fused Shadow after dispatching the Twilight Aquatic Morphil.
Returning to Lanayru Spring, Link and Midna were ambushed by Zant himself. In their brief confrontation, he stole the Fused Shadows, permanently cursed Link into a wolf with a shadow crystal, and severely wounded Midna by exposing her to the light of Lanayru. Lanayru then warped them away from Zant's grasp and instructed Link to find Zelda atop Hyrule Castle.
Carrying a dying Midna on his back, Link found his way to Princess Zelda, who attempted to break his curse with the Triforce of Wisdom. Unsuccessful, she told Link that the only way to break him from his curse was to find the Master Sword hidden within the Sacred Grove. She then transferred her spirit to Midna, allowing her to survive in the World of Light, disappearing in the process and saving her life. As they left Hyrule Castle, a dark barrier appeared around it, preventing anyone from accessing it.
Link and Midna soon found the Master Sword, which restored him back into his Helium form, allowing him to transform into a wolf at will, and pulled the blade from its pedestal.
Midna then asked Link to help her find the Mirror of Twilight, the gateway connecting the World of Light and the Twilight Realm. In their search for the Mirror of Twilight, Link headed towards Telma's Bar, where they met the Resistance, a group of humans and Hylians working to restore peace to Hyrule. One of them was Russell, who, after the children got kidnapped, decided to join a cause to fight for the freedom of Hyrule.
They tell Link that one of their members, Aru, traveled to Lake Hylia. Upon meeting him, he explained that he believed the evil plaguing Hyrule originated from the Arbiter's grounds found within Gerudo Desert, and that it may be related to the Mirror of Twilight the Six Sages protected, used to send the worst criminals of Hyrule to the Twilight Realm.
Although the path leading to Gerudo Desert was impassable, Aru handed Link a memo which allowed him to use Fire's cannon for free to reach Gerudo Desert. Link and Midna then made their way towards Arbiter's grounds, where they were confronted by King Bulblin once again.
Once inside the former Gerudo prison, and having defeated the Twilight Fossil Star-Lord, reanimated by Zant himself, Link and Midna reached the Mirror Chamber, only to find the mirror shattered into 4 pieces by Zant, as only the true ruler of the Twilight could completely destroy it. The sages appeared before the duo and tasked them with repairing the mirror and defeating Zant and his master Ganondorf.
The first piece was located within Snow Peak. Link met one of Telma's acquaintances, Ashe, at the foot of the mountain, who told him that a creature originating from the mountain had been spotted in the domain, handing him a sketch of the beast holding a red fish. After showing the sketch to Prince Rallis, he recognized the fish as one only found in Source Domain, and gifted Link the coral earring to use as bait. After fishing a rigfish, Link used its scent to scale up the frigid Snow Peak, and met Yeto, a friendly Yeti who revealed he had found a shard of the Mirror of Twilight, inviting Link into his home so he could get it. He learns that Yeto's wife had been feeling sick ever since Yeto found the mirror, which was the reason why he locked it in the dormitory and went to Sora's domain to get a rigfish to make a soup for his wife. After searching the mansion for the bedroom key, Yeta, now recovered from Yeto's soup, led Link to her room and was transformed by the dark power of the mirror into Blissetta, a giant mass of ice. After defeating her, Link obtained the Mirror Shard.
Link and Midna then returned to the Sacred Grove in their search of the Mirror Shard with the help of a golden cuckoo handed to Link by Russell. There, Link briefly returned the Master Sword to its pedestal, revealing a gateway to the Temple of Time in the past. During the exploration of the temple, Link found the Dominion Rod, a powerful artifact capable of bringing statues to life, and used it to defeat the Twilight Arachnid Armagoma to obtain the Mirror Shard. After leaving the temple, the Dominion Rod was drained of its power, rendering it useless.
Heading back to Telma's bar in hopes of finding clues of the next shard's whereabouts, Link received a letter from Renato where he informed him that there was a way to restore Ilia's memories, and asked him to return to Kakariko as soon as possible.
Once there, Link met with Renato in a sanctuary, who was accompanied by Ilia, the Goron Elder Gorkoron, and the Goron Patriarch Darbus. He said that when Ilia was saved, she overheard someone mention a Rod of the Heavens, referring to the Dominion Rod, and that they must trace back to the place where she lost her memory to restore it, and handed Link a letter for Telma detailing the situation.
Within Telma's bar, Link learns that the town's doctor Borbil was the one who brought her back to the bar, and knowing that he's uncooperative, Thelma gave Link the invoice containing a large sum of money that he owes her. Scaring Vorville into sharing information by showing him the invoice, Link learns that Ilia had a small wooden statue that he accidentally spilled medicine over and that got stolen. The scent of the medicine led Link to Thelma's cat, who tells him the wooden statue was taken from her by stallhounds after they attacked her.
After retrieving the statue, Link showed it to Ilia, who remembered being saved by someone who gave her the statue before leaving for Hyrule Castletown. Gor-Koron recognized the statue belonged to the ancient tribe Ashika that protected the Hylian royal family, and told Link of the location of the hidden village, asking Darbus to open the path blocked off by a large boulder.
Within the village, Link defeated all the Bulblins that had taken residence in it before speaking to Impasse, an old Sheikah woman and sole resident of the hidden village. She gave Link Ilia's charm, which in turn returned Ilia's full memory. She also caught eye of the Dominion Rod and recognized Link as the messenger of the heavens, handing him the ancient Skybook.
Chad, a member of the Resistance, was in the basement of Renato's sanctuary researching the mysterious owl statue related to the Uka tribe. After handing him the book, he read an incantation, hoping it would do something with the owl statue, but it restored the Dominion's Rod magic instead. Realizing there were characters missing from the book, Link set out to find the owl statues scattered across Hyrule, which he could now move with the use of the restored Dominion Rod, finding the missing characters on the base of their pedestals.
Returning to Shad, he read the incantation again with the new characters, removing the seal from the owl statue, allowing Link to move with the Dominion Rod, revealing the entrance to a secret room housing a broken down sky cannon. Midna warped it to Lake Hylia and Fire agreed to fix it. With the cannon fixed, Link used it to launch himself to the city in the sky, the final location of the Mirror of Twilight, Uku and Uku Jr. jumping in at the last second before blasting them into the clouds.
Upon arriving, Link learned that the city in the sky has been terrorized by a fierce dragon. After reaching the highest point of the city, Link defeated the Twilight Dragon Argarok, obtaining the final Mirror Shard.
Link and Midna returned to the Abitus grounds and fixed the Mirror of Twilight. They traversed the Palace of Twilight until coming face to face with Sand, sitting upon his stolen throne.
After a long battle against the usurper King of Twilight, he is defeated by Link, and Midna regained the fused shadows. However, Midna remained cursed as an imp, as the source of Zant's power came from Ganondorf, and claimed that as long as his master survived, he would be resurrected.
In a fit of rage, Midna used a fraction of the fused shadow's power to destroy Sand, and realized that Ganondorf was the one that created the barrier around Hyrule Castle and was waiting for them there. Before the castle entrance, Midna wore the fused shadow and transformed into a giant tentacled beast of immense strength. By plunging a giant spear into the barrier, Midna shattered it, allowing access to Hyrule Castle.
Within Hyrule Castle, Link had his final confrontation against King Bulbin, who, after being defeated for the final time, informed Link that he only followed the strongest side, recognizing Link as being stronger than Ganondorf himself. Traversing throughout the monster-infested castle and reaching the throne room, Link and Midna confronted Ganondorf, who sat on the throne with Zelda's body suspended above him.
After a short exchange between the Princess of Twilight and the King of Darkness, Ganondorf possessed the body of the lifeless Princess Zelda and knocked Midna out of the throne room to face the hero alone. After defeating him, Midna utilized the fused shadow to cast Ganondorf from Zelda's body, freeing her from his evil grasp. It was then that the enraged Ganondorf transformed into Dark Beast Ganon to continue the battle. After his defeat, Zelda's spirit returned to her body as Ganon's burned with yellow flames. It was then that Ganondorf's spirit, burning with malice, emerged from the corpse of Ganon, and Midna teleported Link and Zelda outside the castle to use the fused shadow against the Demon King.
The battle, however, would result in Midna's demise, and Ganondorf regained his physical form once again. Atop a dark horse, he crushed Midna's helmet and charged towards Link and Zelda, followed by Phantom Riders.
It is in that precise moment that Zelda prayed to the spirits of light to grant her the power to defeat their foe, and warped them both to an ethereal plane where they handed her the light arrows and the bow of light. Now atop Epona in Hyrule Field, Zelda will use the bow to stun Ganondorf, allowing Link to knock him on his horse. Ganondorf then unsheathed the Sword of the Sages, created a barrier around himself and Link, and began a 1-to-1 sword duel, where Link will be victorious, striking down his foe and plunging the Master Sword into his chest, utilizing the downward strike taught to him by the Hero of Time.
With the sword embedded in his chest, Ganondorf managed to stand once more, and in a final attempt to destroy the hero, Ganondorf tried to use the Triforce of Power, only for it to fade from his hand. It is then that he had a vision of Zant breaking his neck, ending Ganondorf's life.
With Ganondorf dead, the light spirits revived Princess Midna, and her curse was broken, returning her back to her once beautiful self. Link, Zelda, and Midna went back to the Mirror's Chamber, as Midna had to return to the Twilight Realm. To prevent another invasion of the Twilight, Midna, having developed feelings for Link, shed a tear which shattered the Mirror of Twilight, knowing she would never see him again, breaking the only gateway between the world of light and the world of shadow. As the mirror began to crack, Midna looked back one more time at Link and Zelda before departing to the Twilight Realm forever, the mirror breaking completely immediately after.
Link returned back to the Sacred Grove and placed the Master Sword in its pedestal for it to rest, and the children of Ordon returned back to their families. Colin would come to follow on the steps of Link and become a swordsman, and after saying his goodbyes, Link left Ordon Village atop Epona to distant lands, with only his shield in hand. King Bulbin is seen riding freely along Hyrule Field, perhaps symbolizing the Bulbins being at peace with the rest of the inhabitants of Hyrule. Hyrule Castle is then rebuilt, and Hyrule knew years of peace once again.
And that was the Shadow Invasion. I would like to thank Tyler Townsend for collaborating with me on this video. I'll leave a link in the description and in a pinned comment to his channel. Go subscribe to him if you haven't already. Make sure to check out our other collaboration on his channel, where we go over the most helpful monsters in the Zelda series. The link to his video will be in the description too. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. Also, if you haven't already, please consider following me on Twitter and Instagram at Zelda Lore 86. This has been Zelda Lore, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.